It's the Solar One
Sci-Fi Podcast.
Hello, we're back with episode 211 of the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast after a bit of a gap, and Malcolm just looked like he was frozen in time for a second there. Yeah, we're back. Nice to see you both. How are you both doing?
Okay, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, we were just saying how this time of year it's kind of like, I don't know, it's all sorts of bugs and things going on. Marty's been busy doing stuff. I've had a few things going on. So sorry we're a bit less frequent, but we are still here. And the good thing about having 2 or 3 weeks off is then we've got plenty of science fiction news to talk about. And there are some interesting developments both in the Doctor Who universe and the Star Trek universe and all sorts of things. So I suppose that's the most important thing, at least the most thing that stands out to me. Ncuti Gatwa might be on his way out.
Good.
Are you both sad? Are you going to cry like he does in one of his episodes?
Yeah, do you know what? Right? I like him as an actor. I think he's a very good actor. I don't think he was miscast. I think he was badly written, and choices were made on the way he was going to play Doctor that are not very good. Somebody that I was talking to on Facebook said, "Oh, maybe for season 3 they could have him play it a different way." And I said, "Like, well, that's not really going to work now. You can't change the Doctor that he's come up with unless he rejoins Tennant and it's put down a lot."
So are you saying that as an actor, the way he was written as his form of Doctor, was that him as an actor interpreting it, or was it how he was written to act like that?
Well, how much decision do actors make on how they're going to play a role?
Yeah,
they have some, but not much. It's mostly how they're written and directed.
You see, I don't know what percentage is of whether an actor wants to put his own
It's an interesting one. I think each Doctor has to bring their own touch to it. So
yeah, I think
there is some of their creation going in. So Ncuti Gatwa, he is putting some of himself into his
he would have turned up to an audition and played it a certain way and got the part. And let's face it, you'd be a brave director that tells Anthony Hopkins how to play the fucking role. Although I assume you do, but you'd be hard pushed to like full on.
I've got the impression that way. I've got the impression though that Ncuti Gatwa just doesn't understand Doctor Who, and that's partly what went wrong. You know, he might be. I just feel that he kind of like he got this role. Obviously, it's Doctor Who's iconic, and I know what you're saying about the writing, but I do think he just doesn't get what he's doing.
Look, I've been making small films, and like I find that when you've got friends that are actors, they do put their own part. They put part of themselves, even though you've written the character. Yeah. They do put their own thing into it. Because how you envision it and interpret is two different things.
Okay.
I would imagine,
and the writing has a lot to do with this. It's the writing and the directing. Ncuti Gatwa, he's interpreting how he understands that character.
Yeah, I would imagine conversations were had where he was told, "This is the direction. This is the Doctor we want to have. This is how we're going to do it. We need to bring." I'm not saying that agenda pushing won't. This is what we want from the character. This is how we want to play in this. And then Ncuti Gatwa puts his input in, and between them they thrash out, and that's how we ended up with this Doctor. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that I don't think it would come down to Ncuti Gatwa's gone, "Fuck this, I'm leaving." My guess is because they won't commit to a third series, he can't put his career on hold. If he's getting offers,
and I think,
which he is, then he's got to take them, hasn't he? He can't just sit around twiddling his thumbs.
He's been hearing a lot in American stuff now.
I'm hearing that
he's been popping up in films, Hollywood.
I'm hearing that basically because the season 1 of this, well, obviously it's series 14, whatever they call it these days, the first one with him was a racist disaster. I understand that he has got lots of opportunities in America, in Hollywood, to do stuff. And obviously, they filmed the second season already. They were hoping they were going to get the green light from Disney. Disney are getting cold feet. And he may have been advised by his people that get out of this, mate. It's not happening. And pursue a better career in Hollywood because he's got opportunities. And I personally think that he's just thought, well, okay, I've done my best. I've already filmed the second season. It's panned, and it's interesting actually. There's one thing which is kind of ironic that we are literally at the point 40 years ago in 1985 where Doctor Who was kind of, but it was first axed, but then it was on hiatus, and it was Michael Grade. And the ironic thing was in 1985, it was the BBC who wanted to get rid of Doctor Who, but it was the fans who wanted to keep it going. In 2025, it's the fans who want to get rid of Doctor Who, and it's the BBC that want to keep it going. It's like the opposite way around.
Well, there's two things that keep things alive, right? Yeah, you have a cast that gel with each other and they've got something. The writing and the story. You've got that, you can keep something going for a long time. They lost their path after Capaldi. It's got nothing to do with Jodie, what were her name?
Jodie Whittaker.
Nothing to do with her. She's a great actress.
I like her actually. I think she's really.
I don't mind her.
No, I don't mind her. I don't mind her.
But it went down the toilet, didn't it?
Yeah.
The story writing is just getting worse. And then there's the preaching shit, isn't there? The preaching shit, it's in there. And that's the problem. And instead of writing quality stories, when I watch Tennant or even Matt Smith, and I'm half and half, the stories, the writing is super. It's dead on as Doctor.
Yeah, but again, they're still doing the agenda. They made the 14th Doctor when Tennant came back. They said that they intimated that he was gay. And it's kind of like, why do they keep going on about sexuality? I just want an alien who's traveling in time and space and getting into adventures and monsters and quandaries and issues and stuff to make. Why is it that you just can't get basic story writing without, we've got to do this, we've got to have that? I mean, like even like the one of the writers of the forthcoming series is a trans, and he's been doing all these gay books and these rainbow. And I think, fuck off! Just give us some fuck. Sorry, I get so wound up with this. It's like 3 weeks. Oh my god!
I think you can deliver a message in a very well written science fiction story.
You can do it in a way, but not in the way that they're doing it. No. I mean, you know, we've talked many times that Star Trek and Doctor Who, they do have messaging, they do have political agendas, they do have, but they do it in a way that not banging you over the head with it. They can do it in a very intelligently written way.
That's what I mean.
But they don't do it. Why don't they do it anymore? Why do they make it so basic?
That's what I can't understand. That's what I said, like with actors.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I've seen him in other stuff. He is a good actor. Yeah. He's Shakespearean trained. But I think I agree with him. I think he's thrown into a part and he's put his own. I think Doctor Who with it, like the directors, since you're the new Doctor, bring some out of yourself into the character. And I don't think he's into science fiction. It's not his thing.
No, well, that's okay. I mean, not Matt Smith wasn't either.
No,
it doesn't.
When Matt Smith played it, he added himself.
He had that slightly awkward alien eccentric-ism, which worked so well, and it felt more like a classic Who. Matt Smith, I think, Capaldi as well, were the most classic era Who's actors or their interpretation, I think, of compared to
Matt Smith would have been far better as the Master.
Oh, interesting.
I could see that. I could. Yeah.
Interesting.
In terms of Who in general, I mean, you know, I think Who generally lost its way around about the caves of Androzani. Colin Baker's era wasn't very good. Sylvester McCoy, while he was quite good in the role, the series had just that's where it really lost its way. That's when the Doctor suddenly stopped being this mysterious figure, and suddenly they wanted to make him this all-knowing genius.
Yeah, meddler.
Control everything. Then we had that awful fucking movie. Nothing against Paul McGann, but the movie was shit.
I quite liked it. I liked it. I liked the movie.
So C. Davis then comes in.
I like the movie.
I think everybody got lost in the fact that Doctor Who was back, and the fact that the likes of Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant were fucking brilliant in the role, but the program itself wasn't that good. There are maybe in the whole of New Who 6-7 episodes that are absolutely brilliant. Maybe 10 that are pretty good. The rest is just
you've always been quite hard on New Who, haven't you, Malcolm? It's not your thing, so I respect that. That's fair enough. And a lot of some people, I think it's a lot better than that. But I get what you're saying. Is what I'm trying to say, and I think
I thought Capaldi carried it very well.
Yeah. All right, but I just I mean, do you think that this time next year it will be done, or do you think they're going to keep if Disney pulls
No, as
out?
long
It's
as
going to
They're
just.
on
it's still
about
one of the
bringing David
BBC
Tennant back.
biggest fucking exports. As long as it's making them money, they'll keep making it.
I know, but I
Well, the
don't want them to make it
merchandise,
anymore. I want
the
it to end.
merchandise is not selling.
I don't,
Find it.
despite what I said a minute ago, I don't want it to end. I just want it to be better.
I want it
Yeah.
That's
to.
it.
I want it
I
to
don't
be
need
on
a
for 10
hiatus.
years.
I don't
I
need
want
this. I
10 years
just need
away.
it good.
10 years
No,
away.
why do I want to be? Why do I want to be 60 some odd watching it? Make it better next year. There are writers in the world that can do it. There are actors in the world that can
But
do it.
Yeah,
they
there
Little
is.
can't
Russell T
because
Davies,
they
Brad
can't
Wolf, and
because of
some
all
of
the
the
messaging. They
bullshit.
can't because of all these
Of course you
agendas and all
can.
this stuff.
Of course you can.
They
Of course you
won't. They
can.
won't do it. Seriously, they won't do it. They
Of course
can't.
you
They
can.
won't do it.
Maybe look at some of the other stuff that the TV companies, including the BBC and Disney, come out with, and you'll see that this whole woke message is bullshit. It's
Right.
all in people's minds. There are shows that do it, and there are shows that push it a little bit, and Doctor Who's possibly guilty of that, but there's enough shows being made where that's not done, particularly, and also by the BBC and by fucking Disney. So the idea that can't do it because it's got to be ticking boxes. No, they don't. No, they don't. They can easily get to do that.
BBC, I want you to listen to me. I want you to give Doctor Who to us free and we'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
write the stories and do the rest. Just give us
yeah.
some money and we'll sort Doctor Who out. Right? That's
and
my
still
message
be
to the
and still be
BBC.
perfectly diverse and inclusive.
No,
We will.
no, we do
Yeah.
proper Doctor Who.
Yes, we can do. We can do. Obviously, but you can
So
still.
are you suggesting that that possibly could happen in the future, Malcolm? Are you confident that the BBC could just do general, well-written Doctor Who without all this isms that I still think are very prominent in current Doctor Who? Or do you think that?
Because I mean, if you look at even Chuti's era, there was almost none of that. Apart from the Christmas specials where we had the trans character and the fact that they've now made the Doctor homosexual and what have you, there wasn't really much else that you could say was an ism in there. It wasn't like in, say, Jodie Whittaker's era, where every single pretty much white character in the thing was every white male character was the villain. They didn't really do that in Chuti's era.
I didn't notice that actually.
I mean, you even had they even went as
thought
far
about
as
it,
having the
actually.
dumb blonde woman in the what is it, the social media episode at the end. The thick, they're the dumb blonde thick bitch. I mean, how is that? How is that an ism? How is that woke? How is that modern and diverse to have a dumb blonde in the episode?
Well, look, I think we obviously we've got a long way to go with this. It's currently back on the 12th of April, I think it was. The same week that The Last of Us is back. We'll obviously review it. I mean, what do you expect from this? I know it's still a month and a half away, but what do you expect from the next season?
Well,
Optimistic, pessimistic?
I'll watch it and ask me at the end of it.
Malcolm,
See,
anything?
unfortunately, how different can it be when it was written and filmed at the same time as season one? This is what I don't. I was talking to Brendan over on, I think, Tachyon Pulse or
Sensesphere.
the other one.
Sensesphere.
And I was saying, I don't understand when people keep saying Disney insisted on new writers for season two. I don't get where that time frame came from, because they had already filmed season two before season one aired. And even if, as Brendan said, Disney had somebody on the site that didn't like the way he was going, even if that guy thought, this series is going to tank, there still isn't enough time to completely bin everything they've done, completely get new writers, completely rewrite all the episodes for season two in time for it to start filming immediately that season one finished filming. There was no time frame to do that. So I don't understand why that keeds being said. I don't know, I must be missing something.
I mean, they obviously recently, I keep saying the word obviously, I don't know why I keep saying it tonight. They did recently do a end of like a reshoot, or they did some extra filming scenes, which apparently involves seeing Ncuti's regeneration. I don't know whether that's all rumor or whether there does seem to be a lot of people saying this is indeed true, and that apparently when they filmed those scenes at the end, rather than having a sort of a rap kind of celebration, they just sort of all just wandered off, and all the cast and crew were pretty much pissed off. I don't know whether that's valid or not. You hear these stories with these sort of things when they're going on.
If there is if there is a chance that he won't be around for the next series, regardless of whether it goes ahead, let's say it goes ahead, but he's already signed up to do something and he's leaving, it makes sense that they've already filmed a regeneration scene.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And then just use it all done.
Well, they did that with Tennant and Whitaker. The scenes when they regenerated were filmed months apart, and it was obviously it was tacked together the way they do it, and it was done very well. But as you say, they could do that. So he's gone off. He's in America filming whatever, and then they just get the new actor. But
if they're gonna finish this,
I think they should. I think it might be time to finish it.
Do you know how they should finish it? He saves the universe, and then he regenerates with a big question mark. Leave it at that, and then
But and also.
It's a beautiful ending.
But also, you've got to think about one thing. I
leaves all wondering.
mean, you can't have it going on forever. You can't have, like, in 20 years' time, this is the adventures of the 25th Doctor. And it...
Why not?
Because there's too many. I mean, how many... There's...
Yeah, but they've opened it up. It can go on forever, can't they?
Yeah, they opened it up before. He would already been given a new run of...
A new regeneration cycle.
I mean,
well, they changed his origin. I mean, all that's gone.
Yeah, but when I see people say, "Oh, it just needs a 10-year break," I always say, "Well, what's that going to give you? What is giving it a break for 10 years actually going to bring to the table? What's going to happen in them? Fuck all, nothing. It makes no difference if you refilm a new series tomorrow, 10 years from now, or 20 years from now. There is no need for that gap. This whole take it a break.
But
when
Doctor
time to put it on the shelf a bit nonsense.
When Doctor Who came back in 2005 after 1989, apart from the TV special, it did it a lot of credit. I personally think. I think that it really was long enough that it'd been away, you'd moved on, and then suddenly this familiar character was back. And for me, it just
Paul
really...
McGann thing, that when Paul McGann did the episode, the film, that showed you for the first time what Doctor Who could be with a bigger budget.
Yeah,
it showed you they could take it up to the next level.
Well, it's special effects, but I was watching a review on YouTube of these people, and they said it was reminding them of like the Power Rangers movie, the way the 90s, the way it was filmed. It was like a Power.
Come on.
I think it was a bit hard. I know Malcolm's not a fan, but I quite liked. I thought it was great that Sylvester came back for the regeneration.
Yeah,
I thought it was really quite disturbing the way it was just shot, and then he died in a hospital operating theatre like that. That to me gave it.
Which is the first moment in the film. That's the first moment in the film that I didn't like, because up until that point, the Doctor has never died, and then that is the first time A, that the Doctor actually dies, and B, that he's nowhere near any form of Time Lord technology.
We saw John Pertwee die
to help his. No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. He died. His eyes were still. He looked like he was dead. He was dead.
Yeah, but there was another Time Lord there.
Joji does his fucking focus and boosts his regeneration. He doesn't die. None of them do.
I don't know if I fully agree with that.
Are we getting this series? Is that coming this year as well?
The Land Between the Sea and the Sky, what it's called.
Is that this year?
I assume if it was, it'd be later on, like in the autumn or something. It's only like a 5-part thing.
Because that's the last part of the
Disney thing. The Disney contract.
I think Doctor Who. It needs. I think if they're going to carry on with it, they need to sack the people that are involved. Get a decent team of writers in, and get a bloody actor that's some kind of fan of it, who's into it. Get a quality naming and just change the direction, and then get some quality written sci-fi stories done. But if this series is like the last one, and there were 3 episodes out of the last one, 2 that were semi-decent, but if they can't get it up to next level, then it's over. It's finished. I mean, the ratings are tanking. They're down. They've just gone. We're in the 80s again. We're in that stage now.
It does feel like the 80s.
Yeah, it does.
It does feel like it's limping along a bit.
Flogging a dead horse now.
Of who is actually watching it now, because for instance, I know when in 2005 when it came out, I would sit and watch it with my children who were very young at the time, and they loved it until they reached their teenager years, and then they just lost interest in it completely.
Well, mine did
and
too.
I don't know how many fans from that era, youngsters, are still watching it. And like even today, if the majority of people that are watching it through sort of Jodie's era and Cutie's era are all like 6-7 years old, are they even going to have any interest in it in 5 years' time themselves, or are they going to grow out of it themselves? And it's still just going to be us old school dogs still hanging on and don't have teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I could see that.
I'm not saying one way or the other, but I'd like to see what the demographic is, how it changes.
So what you're saying is a lot of this whole issue is just us old school fans. We've watched it for so long.
Well, I used to go to a Doctor Who meeting every Thursday in a pub in London, and it was all old Whovians that ran this thing. They were all part of the Twas fan club, and once a month, sorry, and they were all big names in like the background, the fan base, but they were all older than us three, and they, fought for it to come back. This is it. It's like our generation wanted it back. I mean, and Malcolm's got a point. Over the last few seasons, are any kids is it had an effect on them? Are they just going to think,
then who's watching it then?
We all watched, mine were John Pertwee, yours were...
Mine was Peter Davison, yeah.
Peter Davison. Yeah. Pertwee were my doctor, yours were Davison. Malcolm.
Yes, it was.
We all, Tom Baker.
Tom Baker, yeah.
Yes, all three of us have all got our own doctor, and there'll be a generation who grow up and love shooting Gatwa. Maybe he's their doctor,
I think it's interesting about just the viewing habits where this is regardless, not specifying Doctor Who, but people, they don't really sit around much. I mean, on streaming channels, they do. You tend to binge watch stuff because it's accessible. You just got a folder with the episode titles and you just go through it. And that is maybe indicative of the fact that it's just we're in a different world, and Doctor Who might be better if it wasn't on the BBC at all as a live TV series, and it was on just like streaming. And literally you could like we do when we watch the Star Wars series, and it gets released on at midnight or something, and we watch it, and then we all talk about it, and then you know what I mean. Maybe it's partly an indicator that just live TV in general is just not really for a lot of people. It certainly isn't for me.
I think our viewing habits are changing. Like, our attention spans now for stuff. That's why you only get 10 episodes of a season.
Is it more? I thought that was more to do with...
How do you watch YouTube? When you watch YouTube, you watch hours of stuff, or do you flick through it?
That's not our attention span. That's them telling us. All they want to do is they want to make 8 episodes of a thing because it costs fuck all to make 8 compared with 24, and then they want to leave it for 2 years until they make another run, so that everybody goes back and watches the first series again. So they literally get 2 years worth of two filming blocks over 2 years, and it costs them a third of the money it used to cost them to make a decent length series. That's the only reason it's being done that way. It's money.
No, of course, everything's down to money in the end. But it's just interesting, isn't it? I mean, we'll hopefully it'll be okay.
This debate will continue on.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's just the last time we talked, this hadn't all sort of kicked off with Shooty potentially leaving. I reckon he is going there. I do think he's.
I do.
Going.
I feel it. Yeah.
And I think that
again, even if you love Doctor Who, and you really want to make something of it, but you're getting offers from abroad, do you really want to continue putting up with the fucking backlash from fans? How long can you put up with that or defend against it?
Well, he must be aware. I must be aware of it.
Before you start to think, fuck this, I'm just going to go over to LA where they love me.
Yeah. And also, Russell T Davies apparently is filming some new gay series for Channel 4 or something. So his focus
again, I think people centering on that has been in that they do realise that Bad Wolf makes multiple series every year. Russell T Davies he hasn't just sat down and does Doctor Who and fuck all else. He's always making more than one series. That's what they do. Nobody. He hasn't just like over the last what is it, 21 years only done Doctor Who. When Moffat and Sidney were doing it.
Well, Moffat was doing
making a new series.
Moffat was doing Sherlock Holmes, wasn't he, at the same time as Who? But I thought that Russell T Davies in 2005 to 2010, his main focus was Doctor Who. I don't know whether he did other series at the same time, which would be...
He may have put more effort into it because he was bringing it back, but I guarantee you, I mean, he wasn't he making there was another like a trilogy of gay series for Channel 4. I forget what they were called. It was like some, because I didn't watch them. It was like Cucumber and Milk or something. Wasn't that Russell T Davies? I can't remember now.
Bro Milk.
I
Okay.
can't actually remember what the show was called, but it was something like
That sounds like a series worth watching.
Really big at the time.
Okay, Cucumber and Milk. Yeah, I didn't see that one.
But yeah, it was something like that. I couldn't remember.
Since we've done Doctor Who, what's your feelings on what's going on with James Bond?
I you two. I don't think you're very. I liked the last James Bond. Again, it's another one. It depends on where they go, whether they're going to make a
television
recognizable James Bond, or if it's going to be a TV series, it's going to be a series of movies. I don't know.
If you were going to keep James Bond in the modern era, I have absolutely no problem with the new 007 being a woman or a black woman.
No,
I don't really think it.
Well, actually, a black woman was a 007 in the last movie.
I know, and I know that a load of people hated it. I don't really have it in the modern day. I didn't
mind that. I didn't mind that.
Go back to the 50s, and obviously you couldn't have an intelligence officer that was a woman or B black. That just wouldn't work.
Yeah,
and all that. But in the modern era, couldn't give a toss, mate. Give it to whoever they want.
007 is the title.
There isn't 004,932. They've only got so many code names. So every time an agent is killed, their 00 number must get passed on to someone else.
Sure. Yeah.
I even quite like the idea that each one is called James Bond as well, and that all the different actors are different people entirely playing it. That doesn't quite play out because it means that Spectre were doing the same with Blofeld and stuff like it. I do like that idea, but I have no problem with it.
I think the series could be interesting if they took it that way.
I prefer it's a film. I think I don't know what. I don't know.
Be interesting.
I think he died years ago. To be fair, I think the franchise has been crap for a number of years. Casino Royale was a pretty good film because it was quite close to the book, but all the ones since have been rubbish. I can't get more than halfway through any of the Pierce Brosnan ones, anyway. So I think post Octopussy, I think the franchise was dead anyway.
I like GoldenEye. I love GoldenEye, but the other three I were in and out.
Is that all with Sean Bean?
Yeah.
So Sean Bean is very good in that film.
Yeah.
He could have made he'd have made a good Bond, Sean.
Yeah, he would have done. Yeah.
I
think he would have done. Yeah.
The Bond that dies.
Who are your favourite? I was going to say doctors, James Bonds. Then is it both?
Roger Moore for me.
Yeah, I like Roger Moore as well.
Sean Connery is the most like a naval commander, and I quite liked him. But I think Roger Moore has the better films if you're into, like I was when I was youngster, the gadgets and the.
I'm surprised you both said. I thought you were both going to say Sean Connery actually.
No, Sean Connery's more of what you think the character would be.
He's been soured a little bit as I've learned a little bit more about what Sean Connery was like as a person, to be fair. But I do think he was better as James Bond.
Yeah,
well, he did do Zardos, didn't he? With so.
Oh, yes, great. I mean, all his films are good.
Yeah, it was interesting. He was he's in that. What's that science fiction one? Is that one he mentioned? There was a sci-fi one with Sean Connery, but I can't remember what it's called.
Zardos.
Yeah, it was that one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, Outlander. Brilliant.
I'm not sure I've ever seen Outland. I keep meaning to watch it, but I'm not sure.
Have you never seen it, Malcolm?
I don't know. I don't remember it.
Watch it.
Do you want to? We could watch it and review it if you want to. It's out of interest.
Let's do Outland next.
And all right. Well, in 2 weeks' time, we could do that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, if it's down on the list to do, then obviously it pushes me to watch it.
But you'll be able to watch it from if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I'll find it somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Now we've got 10 minutes left. So, do you want to? Should we wrap and come back for a 20-minute talk on?
Well, I just one more thing.
Go on.
One more thing, Michael. I want you to watch Daredevil when it starts.
Oh, okay. I'm still watching the end of Brookside.
You're gonna.
What?
You can still watch Brookside, but
I've only got 7 episodes left to watch. That's it. I've nearly finished it now. Daredevil.
What?
Yeah, I've only got 7 episodes to go, and I've finished the whole series.
What, Brookside?
Yeah.
You've watched?
Almost, yeah.
3,000 some odd episodes.
Over 5 years, yeah.
Hang on a minute. So you've watched how many episodes?
Well, lots. Look, only at lunchtime when I'm having my lunch and stuff. But it's been over 5 years.
You sat through like 1 million
What is
episodes of
why?
Brookside.
I've
I
enjoyed
don't
it.
understand.
I've really enjoyed it.
I
I
don't
thought it was really
understand.
good.
So have you got some final episodes yet?
No, I've got
then?
about 5 more to go, 6 or 7 more to go. And they're
But
all
have you seen the spin-off movies
yes,
around it?
unfinished businesses. I've got that as well. That's afterwards. That's
All right,
afterwards.
all right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I've got it all there.
Well, that's a milestone. I think we should review Brookside.
Do you remember
I
that
think we
Predator
should.
versus Brookside T-shirt we made that time? That was quite funny with
Yeah.
Jimmy Corkill. Yeah. But oh god.
Well, forget Daredevil. You've conquered 10,000 episodes of fucking Brookside.
Brookie. All right. Actually, before we go, because we're going to come back for the review. Any Star Trek news? Starfleet Academy now has finished its first season and wrapped up.
Yeah.
Not hardly had much information about it at all. Strange New Worlds that should be coming back in. I think they think it's going to come back in May, although it's not been confirmed. And they should be filming season 4 of that soon, which will be released next year. So, Section 31 is still panned by everybody, understandably so. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
There was a video I was watching today where somebody's put the next generation's reaction to Section 31, and it's up on the view screen. Section 31.
Oh, and they're watching it. Yeah, yeah.
But unfortunately, I watched it, and unfortunately, the clips they've chosen are not very good. I think, casting my mind back to Next Generation, there are a lot more crew reactions that would have been a lot funnier of them watching this
Picard
crap
frowning or
on
something.
the screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've just rewatched Picard season 3 again, and I really enjoyed it again. I've watched it about 4 times now, and it's still, to me, one of the best things they've done in Star Trek since 2005. So that's just what I feel
I've been
about it.
rewatching the CW Arrowverse and all that, trying to finish off all because I kind of stalled halfway through, so I'm trying to get
I'm
through.
watching Legends of Tomorrow at the moment.
Okay.
I watched the pilot of that again the other day.
I'm going to watch Silo season 2 still. I haven't seen that yet, but I want to review that as well at some point. And I think, Martin, you said you saw the first season, didn't you, of Silo?
Yeah, I've seen first. I've actually. Well, I'll tell us after you.
All right, you tell us something after we've hit.
Yeah, I bought the bootleg from a certain country.
Oh, okay.
Season 1 and 2. I'm gonna watch it.
Okay.
I have to go in now. I have to feel that I have to go into Silo now.
Yeah, but I like the first season, so I'll check out. Right, guys, because we've got to rush off for Malcolm to shoot off. So to review the movie. So we'll be right back in a second. Cheers.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi
focus of the week.
Okay, and we're back. Now we're going to obviously reviewing Fright Night, but in between us coming back, I've just seen the trailer for Andor season 2. Looks quite good. Looks pretty interesting. Shall I say what I've seen in some of the clips to you two, or do you want to just see the trailer?
Can I ask the big question?
Go on. Sorry, Martin. What was that first one?
Can I ask the big question?
What?
Are Cyril and his mother in it?
I didn't see her. I saw the Death Star, which was in Rogue One. You see the actual main dish being put on.
Right.
You see some scenes before the dish is put on.
Did you say Cyril then, at least?
I don't remember seeing Cyril. What was the bad guy in Rogue One? The one that the Imperial officer. I can't remember his name. The one that gets
Krennic.
Yeah, Krennic is in it. He's good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, K2SO is in it as well. And it's all looking very Rogue One-ish. It's looking so. So April the 22nd.
Season 3 then.
So do you want? We should try and watch it. Actually, I think we've never done anything live. Hang on, is there a way we can actually?
Yeah, there is.
Hang on. Maybe we can do.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Sorry, I think Fright Night. We just have to wait just slightly longer. We will do Fright Night. Let me go into history.
Malcolm, how's the Liberator project going?
I'm stalling up on my mold making, and given that there's somebody else I'm following on the YouTube who's making his own, and he has 30 years experience of resin casting, and even he had problems doing it. I'm getting worried now, but I'm persevering. I've got stuff. There's stuff I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm going to try and share this to you if I can find it. Hang on. Can I enter application Windows? Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe I've got to download it first. Let's tell you what. Let's talk about the movie, and then and then we'll try and do a reaction.
Yeah, we'll do it at the end.
So,
yeah,
Martin, because this is your choice, do you want to just go into it? You talk to me about Fright Night, what you liked about it, and we'll go in from there. Sorry, I'm doing stuff two things at once. So, Bill, Martin, what do you think about this film? I know you like it. You're quite a big fan.
Oh, right. Fright Night. To me, the greatest horror film ever made.
The greatest horror movie ever made.
I saw Fright Night, the first one. I'm not into all this Jason and slasher movies.
Yeah.
Not my thing. I know people like them, and I get bored of them. Same story, Freddy and all that. Fright Night, I rented it. The first one, I rented it out on video, and I was a bit wary about it. And when I watched it, it was the first horror comedy I ever saw.
That's what I was saying.
And that's what made it unique.
It's a comedy. It's a comedy as well. So it's a sort of interesting.
It made one of the first films to be like that, and it was terrifying. But as it was terrifying, it was hilarious, and that's the magic of Fright Night. And the characters, and Roddy McDowell was superb as Peter Vincent.
Yeah, I mean, because I was looking at the actual information about it, and as you say, one thing I found it interesting is that in the 80s there were a few vampire films which normally had a historic basic setting.
Yeah.
This was set in contemporary America, and it was like a neighbor and everything else. And of course, there was a few others. The Lost Boys is another example of a contemporary sort of vampire film as well. So, when did you first see it, Martin?
A friend of mine, we used to rent, or is that Dario Argento? We used to rent films out, and we used to get like them cheap slasher movies and horrors. And we rented Fright Night out one night, and it blew me away. And after that, I bought it, and I kept watching it. And I don't know what it is about Fright Night. The soundtrack. I bought the soundtrack.
The soundtrack's good.
The
He's a
soundtrack
good
is
man and a bad
superb.
song. Yeah, because I mean, I know we're not talking about this film, but I just keep getting sort of parallels with The Lost Boys, where I love the soundtrack to that movie as well. And I know that wasn't so much. Although Lost Boys as well also had some comedy in it. There are some parallels between these two movies.
Yeah, but I think that one, Fright Night were. I think Lost Boys is a masterpiece, but Fright Night, it were much. I think it was scarier than that. Everything about it. The vampire Jerry Dandridge, the character, the actor. Forgot the actor now. Played him. He was superb. And they brought in all the vampire lore. And how Peter Vincent with his cheesy B-movie character who, like, they got in, And I just thought the whole film was brilliant. The music, all of it. And it was dark, but it was funny,
Yeah, it's interesting. Malcolm, what's your perspective on it, mate?
It was okay. It wasn't brilliant. It wasn't scary at all, in my humble opinion. And the funny scenes weren't that funny. If I'm honest, Lost Boys.
So you had a slightly different perspective from Martin's perspective.
Had a better soundtrack. If Lost Boys was a 10, I would give Fright Night probably a 2. It just, I don't know. I don't know what you're seeing, Martin. It's just not that good. It's just, I
think I love it. I think it's a masterpiece.
For me, Lost Boys began an entire franchise of modern day vampires. All of your Buffy, your Forever Night, Vampire Diaries, that whole idea of the cooler, sexy vampires, that all came from Lost Boys. Fright Night doesn't sit anywhere on the spectrum. You have your old school horror classics like Hammer and Nosferatu and all of them, and then you have the Lost Boys going into the new cool vampire kind of bit.
Yeah, Lost Boys changed the old direction. Yeah, I agree with that.
To be fair, I just didn't think it was that good.
Well, I don't know
why they remade it.
Yeah,
the remake, the one with Colin Farrell, I sort of liked it, but it was all right. and I thought it were better than what I thought it would be, but it don't touch the original.
But I mean, obviously, Mark. It's funny how certain films you have an affinity for. This is obviously one which is really high up
Yeah,
there.
no, it's for me.
But you think very highly of the sequel as well, don't you? The one which is
I do with the woman. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you like about the sequel? Did it just enhance the first one for you, or?
You get more depth for you get the history of the Dandridge family, how far it goes back,
Right.
because she's his sister, and how she manipulates the revenge. I just think there's a lot of depth in these films, and for me, that's my opinion. I really do. And you can't get old. You can't buy the second one. It's very hard to get hold of it. They only released the DVD.
I'm sure there are places you can find it if you look hard.
There probably is,
yes.
But even a pirate copy goes for stupid money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They've never released the Blu-ray version of it.
Yeah, but there are.
When it got released, when the sequel got, the first one was a big hit, and the second one is just as good, but it only got released at very few cinemas.
Okay.
It never got a massive release. There are a lot of things going on around the sequels. They really messed up on its release.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Look into it. It's fascinating. But they remade the second one,
right.
and that was just fucking absolute shit. They remade it. It had nothing to do with the new one. It was this second one, and it was just crap.
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, I thought that the first film was okay. I have to. I'm not siding, but I do prefer the Lost Boys to.
Yeah, of course, Lost Boys. This is all taken from Lost Boys, isn't it?
What was made first, Lost Boys or Fright Night?
Fright Night was 85. Lost Boys was 87.
All right, so that could actually be that's fair to say there could be a lot of parallels coming from Fright Night, which were reinterpreted for the making of the Lost Boys. Does that sound like a fair, potential assessment of that? Yeah, I mean, I do like Roddy McDowell. I thought that the guy that ended up on Deep Space Nine as a one of Guinan's race, Orions, I thought he was quite good. But I have to say, I don't know. It was all right. I wasn't mad on it. I didn't loathe it. I didn't love it. It was in the middle for me. It was kind of like
that's fair enough.
But it's stuck in my head because we talked about it, and I thought, oh yeah, let's Martin, you suggested that recently.
It has a massive fan base and cult following.
So is it? So I mean, how did it do in the rate? Did it do well in the cinema? Was it quite popular?
The first one did really well, but the second one was very limited release. It was like they're saying it might have been a tax write-off.
Really?
Yeah. It got released on VHS, and when you could get it on DVD, it was just a video copy transferred over. There's the copyright. There's something to do with loads to do with copyright. That's why there's a copy of it on YouTube.
So what's the second? What's the title of the second Fright Night? The sequel?
Fright Night 2.
It's called Fright Night 2. I'm just trying to find it.
It's
Fright Night. Yeah, Part 2. Yeah, I've just found it with Roddy McDowell's in that one as well.
I think it's just the comedy, and for me,
I like the era. I love 80s movies. I've always liked the feel of American 80s movies. Yeah, I do like that.
Charlie Brewster lives. It reminds me of The Burbs. That street.
I love The Burbs. That's such a good film. I love The Burbs. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. And I mean, it's interesting. I'm just looking at the cast. So obviously, Chris Sarandon was the vampire, and he was the one that ended up at Deep Space Nine. And then, of course, you've got some of the other actors, Roddy McDowell,
Charlie Brewster, Evil Ed. I love that.
Yeah, it certainly is interesting. I was just trying to think what else I could say about it, really, because I mean, it was interesting. Oh, actually, Christopher Lee was in it. Christopher Lee appeared in Dracula. Maybe it was like a footage of him on the TV or something. Maybe see Christopher Lee as Dracula.
Yeah,
I don't remember that myself. But then, like I said, the
film it's having a go at the vampire cult as well. The TV thing around it. There's
I like the idea that
jokes to Christopher Lee and
I like
You
the
know,
idea that
the film
this.
stands out.
I like the idea that this and the Lost Boys actually was a catalyst for all these Buffy and all these
Yeah,
sort
they
of
changed it
90s,
all. In
because those are all
Interview with the
contemporary vampire
Vampire.
films,
Yeah,
which
all that.
so really in many ways it is kind of like indicative of an important
Yeah.
kind of
They, I
catalyst for
mean,
these sort of things.
before these films, it was just the guy creeping in through women's bedrooms windows in a cape doing that.
Yeah,
It's all it was. He changed into a bat, and then Peter Cushing would get rid of him. You know, it's do that sort of thing. I bought Malcolm. Have you seen Captain Kronos, the Vampire Hunter?
It's so
Hammer.
long ago, I barely
Yeah, I
remember it.
bought it. I bought the new edition of it, and that's terrible. It's that bad. But these
Yeah,
films took it up. They gave vampires personalities. That's what they do, and they
here's an
opened the door to the
interesting,
rest of it.
interesting little factoid for you. The idea that vampires can be killed with a wooden stake, decapitation, and fire has nothing to do with how law said vampires could be killed. Hammer changed it to that. That idea was that
No.
was what people were doing to their buried loved ones to stop them coming back as vampires. They would bury them with a stake, they would burn the bodies, or they would decapitate them so they don't rise again as vampires. It was Hammer that changed that as being the way you kill a vampire.
Yeah.
that's interesting.
The vampire thing's interesting because in every culture in the world, that's one thing we have in common going back centuries is vampires. It's every culture in the world is a version.
Obviously, vampires are kind of based largely on Vlad Dracul and Countess
Yeah.
Bathory, their antics and what have you, plus obviously his book Dracula and what have you. But there is also a belief that the vampire mythology and more so werewolves came from the idea of serial killers that what they did to bodies was so brutal that the people of the time couldn't equate that with a human being doing that to someone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they came up with these ideas of vampires, werewolves, and stuff like that, Wendigos, and all those kind of things to try and justify that it was an animal that did this to people. When the chances are it was just a depraved, brutal psychopathic.
There's people they call them cryptids now. That's the new name for them, isn't it? Cryptids.
That's interesting. Yeah. So I suppose really is it at this point to sort of give it a rating out of, I mean, first of all, would you have it in your collection? I don't know what Marty's going to say.
Of course.
Malcolm, would you have it in your collection?
I don't. It wasn't a bad film, but I don't see myself ever watching it again, and I don't see that it brings anything to the party in terms of vampires. So probably not, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough.
Would you-
I have it? Yeah, but it'd be at the back somewhere. I would have a copy of it, but it wouldn't be brought out very often, I think. But it's all right. It's it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. It's got a lot of good kind of comedy and sort of the usual sort of vampire tropes. I suppose let's give it a rating out of 10. I'm going to start the ratings this week, so I never go first. I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. Maybe no 6. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. That's as good as it gets for me, Martin. How about you? It's going to be 10, 9? What's it going to be?
Hey, I'm going to give it a 10.
I thought you would. Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, and Malcolm, I reckon you're going to say 2.
Yeah, to be fair, I am going to give it a 6 because it wasn't a bad film, but also, and I'd have to look into the ins and outs of this, it may be the very first time that someone did something different and brought the vampires into the modern age with suits and all living next door to neighbours and all that. And it may have been the first time that someone tried to add a little bit of comedy into the vampire mythology and not just make a straight up horror movie. So for that, it was ambitious, and I think it deserves a 6 at least for that.
Okay. Well, I will certainly try to watch the new version of it. I will also try to watch the second one from 1988 as well, because if I did see the second one, I actually don't remember it, and I think that it's one of those things that I think Martin's probably seen it a few times over the years, so it's really stuck with you. And I've seen it at least twice in the past, and I have to say, I mean, The Lost Boys really did stick in my head a lot when it was in the 80s. I must have watched The Lost Boys about 15 times over the years, but you know, in the end, they're both good films.
That's always one of the greatest lines ever in a vampire film. When he says, "My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. You wait till Mum finds out." Brilliant.
Yeah, that's true. Now, before we wrap up, because I think Malcolm says he's going to shoot off, I'm going to try and play the Andor season 2 trailer. It might not work, so let's just press because I've only just seen it. It looks good, so let's see what happens when I press this. See if it comes on. Here we go. Let's see it.
Yep.
Okay.
It's not playing, but
well, no, I'm going to press play. Now, let me. If you hear the sound as well, if you hear the sound, then give me a thumbs up. Right, I'm going to play it now. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win? Last night I had a dream that the world had turned around. All our hopes had come to be. The revolution starts now.
What a swell party this is.
Remember this moment. You're here, you're right here, and you're ready to fight.
Okay, so we don't normally have a brand new trailer as we're recording. Comments, opinions? But what do you think about it, Malcolm?
yeah, I mean, it might be all right. It's nice to see Forrest Whitaker's character. I think, if anything, that will save the show. To have him in it, to see more of him and what have you. But I don't know. I mean, it might be better. In the first one, like I said, Andor was a nothing character, and I don't understand why they focused on him for the first series. The second series, we're getting closer to why he ended up being sent on the mission for Rogue One. So hopefully, maybe he'll do something more interesting this time around. Maybe we'll get to see more of the resistance. I'm feeling that at the end of this, there will be no season 3, and they'll run straight into the Rogue movie, and it might be
that's what's happening. It is going to go
season 3.
No, it's going straight into it. The end of this series literally goes right into the first scene of Rogue One. There isn't.
This I think I said on an earlier podcast. It should end with Andor being at the moment where the girlie where he kills the bloke at the beginning of the film. That's where this film should end.
That's what I think they're doing. I think that's what they're doing. They are linking it up literally with the movie. Martin, what do you think about it?
Well, the trailer, they've really ramped it up.
Looks a bit more action-packed, doesn't it?
Got that sense of excitement. I've got a feeling this season's going to be a lot better than the first one.
Yeah, I do too.
So I am quite excited for it.
Yeah, but we were the first time round, weren't we? So let's be a bit...
Yeah, we were. But I think I don't know, I think they've ramped it up a lot. I think there's a lot more action in this. It's going to be interesting. I have watched Andor second time.
It's much better second time.
I found it a lot.
Much better, yeah.
It was a lot better than my first viewing.
Yeah, I know. We panned it in our review, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. But second, when you said, give it another go, I did. I watched a couple of weeks. I started by middle of it. I was starting to enjoy it. It's
weird, isn't it? I've never had a series where I've got a different perspective watching it the second time round. I don't know what that is.
I did. I sort of connected with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I do like the characters in it as well. So
we'll find out. So that week, middle of April, we're going to have brand new The Last of Us, brand new Doctor Who, brand new Star Wars, and Star Trek will be back with Strange New Worlds, probably near to that as well. So, one more month of nothing, and then we can really delve into some good stuff, and hopefully,
Yes.
I must confess, having seen the trailer, I'm way more excited for Daredevil Reborn. That looks
I am.
so
That's it for me, mate.
okay. I don't know anything about Daredevil, but I'll listen to what you both say, and if you tell me, I'll give it a watch. I'll watch it.
I think you should watch it. Yes.
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
there's 5 series you've got to watch, though. You've got to watch Daredevil, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage.
Okay. Well, then it might be a while then.
But you did watch 10,000 episodes.
Yeah, but I've got to see what happens. Jimmy Corkill's not very well at the end as well, so I want to see if he's going to be right. No, yeah, he's got asthma now. No, he's got from what's it? Oh, I'm going to tell you. It's what was all that bloody soap operas on here for? All right, guys. So we're going to be back in 2 weeks with what was it? Outland.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. Is that the one with that Charlie's Angel? No, that's the one with Kirk Douglas, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's one. What's the one with Kirk Douglas when he's got
Have we done that? Jupiter, we've done that.
No,
I thought we had.
no. I like that movie a lot. I think that movie is
I
pretty good.
forgot what that film's called now.
Douglas and Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, I think that's worth a watch as well. All right, so we've got a few movies to review coming up. Okay, thank you guys. We'll be back in 2 weeks with that movie.
I always get Outland confused with. I don't know if you remember this, but
What's that?
Martin, you're kind of oracle for this stuff. Channel 4 did a science fiction kind of whodunit years ago with like a massive amount of prize money if somebody who wrote in and said who actually did the crime at the end of it. It's like a whodunit thing. Do you recall that at all? Very few people remember it, but I remember it clear as day. I just can't find what it's called to prove to people it existed.
There was one on ITV where they were on a spaceship coming back from Mars, and somebody had murdered one of the crew, and there was an investigation. They had a panel every week at the end of the episode, and they had to put the clues in.
I'm not sure if that's because in this one multiple people are murdered, and it was like a fucking nobody won the money because it was like a Orient Express thing. Spoiler alert, where everybody was killed by someone different, which is why nobody won it because no one figured that out. And all that, but no one I know has ever heard of it. I'm sure it was on Channel 4, sort of over a few nights, like maybe 5 nights during the week. And then
I remember ITV did something like that for a couple of weeks, but I don't think it's that one.
It's not ringing any bells with me, so I'm not familiar with either. So no, I didn't see that one. It's funny how you two sometimes talk about things I've never heard of, which is very strange. Oh, another series I'd like to review with you two is Life on Mars. I don't know if you ever both like that one, but I think that's a really good series. I'd like to review that. All right, put it on the list. Okay, guys, so we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the next episode. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll catch you then. Thank you very much. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Long and prosper.